Have you ever wondered what goes through a narcissist's mind when you decisively turn your back and walk away from them? Will they fall to their knees begging you to return, or will they tear off their mask, revealing the snarling demon lurking within? As a psychologist who has peeled back layer after layer of these warped souls, I understand the silent pain you've endured, the bleeding wounds inflicted by their manipulation and exploitation. Today, we'll dive deep into the darkness behind that arrogant mask, and I warn you, what's about to be uncovered might jolt you awake from the nightmare they've trapped you in. Prepare yourself, because this isn't just an exposure, it's the key to seeing why your departure is their downfall, and how it opens the door for you to rise stronger than ever. When you leave, their world doesn't just tremble, it shatters. The moment you turn away, you rip the power cord from the stage they've always dominated, leaving them fumbling in the dark. Don't be deceived by their crocodile tears or sudden pleas. They're not mourning you. They're grieving the puppet that slipped from their grasp. I've seen victims like you pour out their hearts, hoping to find a shred of genuine remorse, only to realize those sobs are a performance, a desperate attempt to drag you back into their script. Behind closed doors, that vulnerable narcissist isn't crying out of love. They're raging, furious that you dared to break free from their chokehold. The mask falls, and what's revealed isn't human connection. It's a greedy black hole, a ravenous beast that thrives on your pain to feel alive. You thought you were facing a flawed lover, a wounded soul? No. You were ensnared by a predator cloaked in affection to hide its true nature. But this is where the power shifts. Their unraveling is your liberation. Every tear you've shed, every night you've questioned your worth, they've relied on that to keep you bound. They feed on your doubt, your pleas, your need to be seen, because it's the fuel for their grandiose delusion. When you walk away, you don't just cut off their supply, you flip the board. Suddenly, they're the ones begging, manipulating, spiraling, while you reclaim the dignity they tried to steal. You're not the weak one here, they are. Their tantrums, threats, sugary promises. That's not strength, it's the thrashing of a parasite losing its host. And in that chaos, you uncover a truth they can't touch. Your value was never theirs to define. This isn't just about unmasking them, it's about arming you. Understanding their game gives you the upper hand. They'll try to guilt you with, "I've changed," or intimidate you with, "You'll regret this." But those are just the dying gasps of their fading control. You don't owe them explanations, closure, or a second chance. Every ounce of energy you give them is a lifeline they don't deserve. Cut it off cold and clean and watch them writhe. As they realize their throne was built on your suffering, you're not abandoning them, you're rescuing yourself from leech that mistook your kindness for weakness. Stay with me, because this journey doesn't end with their collapse. It begins with your ascent. Share your story below, subscribe for more hard-hitting truths, and let's explore how to turn their chaos into your strength. Because you're not just walking away, you're stepping into a life they can never reach. Phase 1, the narcissist seeks a new supply. When you walk out of a narcissist's life, don't expect even a flicker of regret or a sincere tear from them. As a psychologist who has dissected these distorted souls for far too long, I know this. In their hollow, frigid core, your emotions are nothing more than a speck of dust, meaningless and easily brushed aside. They don't ache for losing you, they panic over losing their supply, the energy spout they depend on to inflate their delusional ego. Their greatest fear isn't losing love or connection, it's losing the admirers, the naive prey they can puppet. You think they'll crumble when you leave? Wrong. They've already got a backup list, replacements lined up, ready to step in and fill the void you left without a second's hesitation. They dive into the hunt with breakneck speed, like a starving beast catching the scent of fresh blood. A new relationship springs up overnight, paired with intricate traps set to snare more potential prey. You, the one who sweat and cried to hold on to them, will be erased from their mind without a shred of mercy, as if you never existed. But don't let their coldness wound you, because this is their essence, a soulless machine powered solely by admiration and control. Yet this vicious cycle is never sustainable. The new supply will eventually lose its initial thrill. Fiery arguments and the challenges of manipulation will bore them. And that's when your shadow, the one who once obeyed so willingly, starts creeping into their thoughts. This is why they rarely give you a clean break. They always leave a door ajar, an invisible thread. So when the new prey no longer satisfies, they can knock on your door again, exploiting the vulnerability you once showed. Don't be fooled by this game. When they return with sweet apologies or repentant eyes, it's not affection, it's strategy. They don't miss you because you're special. They miss you because you were easy to control. I've watched too many victims like you fall into this trap, hoping their comeback signals change, only to be drained dry once more. But here's the truth you need to etch into your bones. They don't change, they just switch supply. You're not a lover in their eyes. You're a tool, a fallback when their reserves run low. So make your departure a decisive slash. No room for them to slink back. No chance for them to sow doubt into the self-worth you're rebuilding. They'll hunt elsewhere, but you don't have to be the one standing there waiting. Use this moment to see clearly. Their indifference isn't your failure, it's proof of their emptiness. Every leap to a new supply exposes their inability to stand alone. They need you, but you don't need them. This is your chance to break free, not just from them, but from the scars they left behind. You deserve peace, not a backup role in their play. Stay with me, share your story below, and let's uncover how to turn this pain into power. Because you're not just a survivor, you're a flame they can never extinguish. Phase 2, the narcissist misses. You don't soften too quickly when you think a narcissist misses you after you've walked away. I'm a psychologist who has seen through the dark corners of their minds, and I understand the pain you feel when you hope they carry a heart capable of regret like yours. But the harsh truth is, their longing isn't like ours. You ache over shattered, beautiful memories, over a deep bond now turned to ashes. They, on the other hand, lament losing a supply machine that unconditionally served their selfish desires. Like a child sulking over a broken favorite toy, they don't cry for losing you as a person, but because there's no one left kneeling at their feet, catering to their whims, fulfilling the absurd demands they issue like royalty. They miss you the way one misses a loyal servant, a convenient ATM, or a companion to ease their boredom. But make no mistake, this isn't about missing a partner or a soulmate. Their regret is a cold, soulless calculation. They don't hurt because your spirit departed, they hurt because the project they painstakingly built has collapsed. You, with all the time, effort, and emotion you poured in, were a major investment in their eyes. They recall the early days when they showered you with money, expensive gifts to win you over, meticulously planned dates, and timely appearances like a knight in shining armor to make you fall into their arms. That wasn't love, it was strategy. And now, having lost you, they regret both the capital and the profit they invested in that venture. But what truly stirs their longing, when the shine of their new supply begins to fade, when other prey proves harder to manipulate or lacks the caliber they crave, they turn back to you, like someone suddenly realizing they've dropped a precious gem without noticing. That comparison stings them, and this is when things get dangerous. Don't think they'll leave you in peace. When they miss you, it's the signal for a sophisticated assault. They'll unleash finely honed, soul-sucking tactics, their intensity proportional to the value you represent, wealth, status, or the ability to satisfy their baser needs. If you're a big fish in their eyes, they'll dream of a peaceful breakup, they'll cling like starving leeches, ready to deploy every trick to drag you back into their vortex. You were once their lifeline, and they won't let go easily. But this is your chance to see clearly. Their longing isn't affection. It's the desperation of someone losing a tool of control. You're not the loser for walking away. You're the victor who toppled their throne. Phase 3, they return and manipulate you. When a narcissist comes back, don't rush to see it as a sign of remorse or lingering love. I'm a psychologist who's witnessed enough of their theatrics to tell you, this is just another move in the manipulation game they never stop playing. To understand why they do this, we must examine the repeating cycle of a narcissistic relationship. Love bombing, the devaluation, discard, and hoovering. Initially, they sweep you into a whirlwind of enchantment, sweet words, lavish gifts, attention that seems unmatched. This idealization phase makes you the center of their universe, convincing you they're the perfect half you've longed for. But don't be fooled, it's not love. It's a trap set to lock you into their orbit. I've seen victims like you fall into that web, only to realize the initial glow was a veneer, hiding a cold control machine. Once they've secured you, the devaluation begins. The tenderness vanishes, replaced by subtle daggers, sharp criticisms, judgments that make you doubt yourself, actions that demean you until you feel inadequate, unworthy. They plant the idea that you need them to survive, that your worth hinges on their approval. You've wrestled with that feeling, wondering where you went wrong, trying to reclaim the loving gaze of the early days until you couldn't take it anymore and chose to leave. But here's what you must engrave in your mind. With a narcissist, the story never ends there. They won't let you go. They return, not out of love, but because they can't stand losing a supply that once obediently served them. They'll replay old tactics that once floored you. We were so good together. Why did you change? I still love you so much. Those honeyed words aren't real. They're bait tossed out to hook you back. They appear out of nowhere, a late night text, an unexpected call, leaving you reeling with questions. What do they want? Why are they doing this? That confusion is their target, keeping you dangling, unable to fully break free. If sweet talk doesn't sway you, they escalate, showing up at your door, calling relentlessly, even infiltrating your relationships with friends and family to surround you. I've seen victims suffocate under this pressure, returning just to find temporary relief. But that's the trap they want you to fall into. When direct pressure fails, they turn to triangulation, a cruel trick I've witnessed too often. They start smearing you, weaving tales where they're the Kalian victim and you're the heartless betrayer. They flaunt new relationships in front of mutual friends, creating a sense of isolation and misunderstanding. They want you jealous, questioning if you were wrong to leave, wanting you to see them thriving, even happier to make you regret. But don't be deceived. That stability is a facade, a performance to hit your self-esteem. They're not fine. They're just proving they don't need you, though in reality, they're desperate to keep you in their grasp. If covert sabotage doesn't work, they pull out the pity party, a cunning weapon aimed at your compassion. They show up looking haggard, whining to others that they're broken, that they miss you terribly. You'll hear lines like, "They're going through a rough patch. Be patient," from your own loved ones. Don't be shocked if they play the noble card, claiming they respect your decision and just want you to be happy, only to ensure those words reach you through others. It's not sincerity, it's a staged act to make you second guess, to stir the empathy they know you still harbor. They want you to feel callous if you don't soften, want you angry or curious enough to reach out. Don't fall for it. Every step toward them is a step back into their old pit. And if all else fails, you'll face the narcissistic rage, an explosive outburst I've seen tear through their disguise. Like a child denied a toy, they'll scream, threaten, fabricate, even hurl venomous words to pierce your heart. They might ruin your reputation, spread rumors, or do anything to punish you for daring to abandon them. This is when they lose control, exposing their true weakness, a fragile ego that can't handle being ignored. In rare cases, when every ploy fails, they collapse entirely, bewildered, directionless, as the world they once ruled crumbles beneath them. But here's what you must hold on to. These tactics aren't their strength. They're the desperation of someone who can't live without manipulating others. You're not the loser when they return. You're the greatest threat to their ego. Turn this knowledge into armor. You owe them no forgiveness, no second chances. Every time they try to reel you in, it's proof you're stronger than they believe. Don't just stop at breaking free. Use this pain to rebirth yourself, to build a life they can't touch. The human essence is a ceaseless quest for meaning and wholeness. We yearn to understand, to piece together life's fragments into a complete picture. But when a relationship ends without clear explanations or reasons, your mind becomes a jam tape, replaying memories, conversations, moments that once seemed trivial but now cut like knives. As a psychologist who's guided hundreds through this spiral, I know you're not just seeking answers to the whys. You're wrestling with yourself. Your emotions turn into a chaotic storm: anger at betrayal, guilt for not being enough, shame for trusting the wrong person, disappointment that reality didn't match the dream, and sometimes a persistent longing that they'll change, revert to the dream person of the beginning. But with a narcissist, that's an illusion, a trap they set to keep you in their orbit. Unfinished business is an invisible blade stabbing your soul. Their promises, a trip, a shared future, a vow, now sting like needles whenever you recall them. You feel deceived for believing, hurt for hoping, and anxious that they're now giving those beautiful things to a new supply. Doubt gnaws at you. Are they mocking me? Was I not worthy of keeping them? Then jealousy creeps in, a sense of injustice choking you as you picture them happy with someone else while you're left in their mess. You ask, what's happening? What did I do wrong? But I'm here to tell you, it's not your fault. The narcissist turned your life into a game they always controlled. This rumination isn't just pain, it's a prison. You sit there replaying their words, their glances, searching for a clue to decode why it all fell apart. You blame yourself. Was I too naive to trust them? Do I deserve this for not seeing through them sooner? Or you torment yourself. If I'd tried harder, been more patient, would it have been different? This vicious cycle of negative thoughts roots deep, draining you, trapping you in an unchangeable past. I've seen victims like you eroded by this obsession, losing their spark day by day, unable to let go of why. But the truth is, you'll never get answers from a narcissist. They don't care about your feelings. They only care if you'll keep feeding their bloated ego. That's why cutting contact is the only escape. You did the right thing by leaving, and I'm proud of you for it. You can't heal a wound in the furnace that forged it. Staying with a narcissist only makes you bleed more. But to truly overcome their manipulation, you need a steel boundary and total release, not just of them, but of their promises, memories, and illusions. When I say cut contact, I mean no half measures. I mean a complete severance. Block their number, erase them from every platform, and crucially, sever ties with anyone connected to them. Block their parents, siblings, relatives, friends, even mutual connections you once shared. It sounds harsh, I know, but it's the only way to shield yourself from the invisible strings they'll use to pull you back. Don't fall into the comeback trap. It's not a chance to fix things, it's the gateway to a new cycle of abuse. They might feign change, play the repentant for a month or two, even longer, to convince you this time is different. But I've seen it too often. That disguise cracks, revealing their true self, indifference, manipulation, and affairs behind your back. They'll mock your trust, see you as desperate for giving them another shot, certain that no matter what, you'll never leave. Each time you take them back, you don't just give them a chance. You hand them the right to trample your self-worth, turning you into a doormat they can step on anytime. Don't grant them that power. You deserve so much more. Remember, when a relationship falters, the best approach is to face and resolve it early. Arguments and disagreements are inevitable. Sometimes you need space to reflect. But prolonged silence isn't a fix, it deepens the wound. In that gap, they might turn to others, and if you return, past ghosts will haunt you, making trust, the bedrock of healthy bonds, impossible to rebuild. With a narcissist, trust is a luxury they never offer, and you don't deserve to live in fear, doubt, or pain just to cling to something rotten at its core. Admit that relationship was toxic, not worth another second of your sacrifice. You're not a failure for leaving, you're brave for choosing yourself. Cutting contact might leave you lonely, empty. I get that. Some nights you'll lie there wondering if you were wrong to cut them off entirely, if there was a way to salvage it without this ache. But hear me, loneliness and freedom beats captivity in a toxic bond 1,000 times over. Life's too short to waste on the unworthy, those who drain you without giving back. Instead, invest in healthy relationships where you're respected, genuinely loved, where your worth isn't questioned daily. You don't need them to feel whole. You're enough, even if you don't see it yet. Turn this loneliness into strength. Every day without them proves you can stand alone. Don't let unfinished promises or fake memories bind you. They're bait to keep you hooked. You don't need their answers to close the past. The answer is in you. You deserve peace, freedom, a life unmanipulated. Block them from your world, not just your phone, but your mind. Subscribe to me, share your story below, and let's build unbreakable boundaries together. Because you're not just breaking free, you're starting a new chapter where you're the master, no one else.